The massive crystal chamber sparkled under bright lights as alien representatives from 47 different worlds sat in their floating seats. The room buzzed with angry voices and clicking sounds from creatures that looked nothing like humans. At the center of everything, a blue and green planet appeared in the air, spinning slowly like a toy. Council leader Vextar stood up on his 4 legs, his multiple eyes glowing red with anger. He was tall and covered in shiny scales that changed color when he moved. "The small planet called Earth has said no to our kind offer," he announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "These creatures called humans refuse to obey us like every other species does." Gasps and strange noises filled the room. For 3,000 years, no planet had ever dared to say no to the Galactic Confederation. Every species they met had surrendered, immediately when they saw the massive alien fleets in space. The military advisor, a creature twice as tall as Vexitar with armor-like skin, stepped forward. His name was General Croz, and he commanded millions of ships across the galaxy. "Look at these pathetic beings," he said, pointing at images of humans floating in the air. "They have no sharp claws, no thick armor on their skin, no poison, no natural weapons at all. They are just soft pink creatures that somehow learned to fly in space." The council members laughed and made mocking sounds as they studied the human data. These humans were short, weak-looking, and had no scary features like fangs or spikes. Their planet Earth was marked as extremely dangerous, but the aliens thought this was a mistake in their computers. "Their leaders have funny names," Vextar said, reading from his glowing tablet. "Their main speaker calls himself Ambassador Jin Ho, and their army leader is General He Jin. Such simple, childish names for such a primitive species. I say we attack them right now," General Cross declared, slamming his massive fist on the table. "One small group of our ships will be enough to make them surrender. They will learn to respect the Confederation." Every single alien in the chamber raised their hands, claws, or tentacles to vote yes for war. All 47 species agreed that these humans needed to be taught a lesson. They would show them what happened when someone refused the mighty Galactic Confederation. As the meeting ended, war orders were sent through space toward the small yellow sun where Earth orbited. The aliens felt proud and confident. This would be the easiest conquest in their long history. But deep in their computer files, buried under thousands of pages of data, was a warning note that none of them bothered to read. It said, "Danger. This planet has survived many disasters that killed most life. The species shows amazing ability to adapt and survive anything." The alien leaders were too busy celebrating their upcoming victory to notice this small but important warning. They had no idea that they had just declared war on the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. They thought they were attacking weak prey, but they were about to wake up apex predators who had been waiting for a real challenge. The greatest war in galactic history was about to begin, and the aliens had no clue what was coming for them. Deep, underground in Switzerland, the most important people on Earth sat around a large table in a room made of thick metal and concrete. The bunker was built to survive nuclear bombs, but today they faced something much worse. President So-min looked tired as she stared at the floating pictures showing hundreds of alien spaceships heading toward Earth. Defense Minister Tae-ho stood up and pointed at the display. "The aliens have given us 2 days to give up completely," he said in a calm voice, even though everyone in the room knew they were in terrible danger. "They have 200 warships coming our way, including some that can crack planets in half." General Hae Jin, a tough woman who had fought in many wars, spoke next. "What should we do, Madam President?" President So-min rubbed her forehead and looked around the room. "I want to hear all options. What do we know about these creatures?" Dr. Kyung-soo, the smartest scientist on Earth when it came to alien life, stepped forward with his tablet. 3 months ago, they sent a small probe to look at us. We captured it and studied their technology. They have better materials than us, stronger metals and energy sources. But the way they think about fighting is very simple and boring. "What do you mean?" the president asked. "They fight like rabbits that learn to use guns," Admiral Jin-woo said with a slight smile. "Everything they do is designed to keep their soldiers safe. They always use the same formations, the same tactics. They have never fought anyone who fights back hard." Colonel Min-jun touched his computer, and new pictures appeared in the air. Our war games show that they expect us to fight, like them. They don't understand sneaky attacks, surprise moves, or fighting when you know some of your people will die. They think all intelligent species fight the same boring way they do. President So-min thought for a long moment, then nodded. Start Operation Awakening. Send messages to every human colony, every space station, every mining operation from Mars to the furthest stars. Tell them what's happening and what we need them to do. Ambassador Jin Ho raised his hand. What should we tell the aliens when they demand our surrender? General He Jin's smile was not friendly at all. Tell them we said no, thank you, and send them our own message. Within a few hours, Earth's answer flew through space toward the alien fleet. The message was short but clear. To the Galactic Confederation, we are humans. We lived through ice ages that lasted thousands of years. We survived when giant volcanoes almost ended all life on our planet. We lived when space rocks hit Earth and killed the dinosaurs. We fought wars with each other for 10,000 years and learned how to be the best fighters in the universe. You think you can beat us? Come and try. Good luck. Signed, Planet Earth. As this message traveled through the darkness of space, something amazing happened across all human settlements. Every colony on Mars started building weapons. Every mining station in the asteroid belt began making warships. Every research base near distant stars transformed into military factories. Humans everywhere stopped their normal lives and prepared for the biggest war they had ever fought. The aliens thought they were attacking a weak, primitive species. They had no idea they had just woken up the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The massive alien fleet moved through space like a pack of metal sharks, heading straight for Earth's solar system. Commander Zeklos sat in his command chair, feeling very pleased with himself. His forearms rested comfortably on the controls while his big yellow eyes watched the battle screens. "Look at this," he said to his officers, pointing at the display. "The humans have only 12 tiny ships waiting for us near Mars. We have 200 warships. This will be the easiest fight in galactic history." The alien tactical officer, a creature with 6 legs and purple skin, clicked his mandibles in amusement. "Their ships look like old mining equipment and cargo trucks with guns stuck on them. Our weapons are 100 times more powerful. They should surrender right now." Zeklos decided to be generous and give the humans one last chance to give up. "Open communications," he ordered. "Let me talk to these primitive creatures." The screen lit up, showing a human woman in a military uniform. She had short black hair and calm dark eyes that didn't show any fear. "This is Admiral Yunji of the Human Defense Force. You are not welcome in our space." Zeklos laughed, a sound like clicking metal. "I am Commander Zeklos of the mighty Galactic Confederation. Surrender now, and we will kill you quickly instead." "Oh, slowly." Admiral Yunji's face didn't change at all. "Here's a better idea. Turn around and leave now, and we'll let you live." Every alien on the bridge burst into laughter. These tiny soft creatures actually thought they could threaten them. It was the funniest thing they had heard in years. "Attack," Zeklos ordered, still chuckling. What happened next made no sense to the aliens, instead of staying in neat formation. Like civilized species, the human ships scattered in all directions like startled fish. 3 ships flew directly at the alien fleet, even though it meant certain death. The other ships moved to strange positions that seemed completely random. "They're not running away," the tactical officer shouted in confusion. "The damaged ships are still fighting even though they're falling apart." Then, something happened that shocked every alien in the fleet. One human ship with huge holes in its side and air leaking out into space suddenly turned and flew straight at Zeklos's flagship as fast as it could go. "Get out of the way!" Zeklos screamed, but it was too late. Captain Donghyun and his crew, knowing they were about to die, crashed their ship directly into the alien flagship. The explosion destroyed both vessels, but it also took out the aliens' biggest guns. From the backup bridge, Zeklos watched in horror as the remaining human ships worked together like a pack of hunting wolves. They used the wreckage from the explosion as hiding places and attacked from directions the aliens never expected. 17 of our ships are damaged, his officer reported. "The humans are fighting like nothing we've ever seen before." When the battle finally ended, The aliens had destroyed all 12 human ships, but they had lost 37 of their own vessels. As Zeklos stared at the aftermath, he realized something terrifying. The humans had never tried to win this fight. They had sacrificed themselves to learn how alien weapons worked and to prove they would never surrender. The last message from the human fleet was simple. Information sent to Earth. They know everything now. We'll be back. 3 weeks after the terrible battle at Mars, Admiral Jinwu walked into the biggest meeting room on Lunar Station. The room was filled with military officers, scientists, and engineers from all over the solar system. Floating, screens showed numbers and pictures that would have amazed anyone from the old days. "Give me the report," Admiral Jinwu said as he sat down at the head of the long table. Colonel Young-ho stood up and pressed buttons on his tablet. "Operation Awakening worked perfectly, sir. Every single human colony and space station has stopped doing normal work and started making weapons instead. The miners on Ceres are now building giant metal bullets that can destroy spaceships. The gas workers on Titan have turned their factories into weapon makers. Even the tiny research stations way out in the cold edge of the solar system are building spy drones. The numbers were incredible. Dr. Su-Jin pulled up charts showing human populations across space. We have 17 billion people living on 93 different colonies and stations. 14 billion of them have signed up to help fight the war in some way. The only ones who didn't volunteer are children under 12 years old and people who have to keep the lights on and grow food." Admiral Jinwu nodded slowly. In just 3 weeks, humans had changed from peaceful space explorers into the biggest war machine the galaxy had ever seen. Nothing like this had happened before in known history. "What about our new spaceships?" he asked. Captain Minho touched his screen and new pictures appeared. "We studied all the alien technology from the wreckage at Mars. Their materials are much better than ours, stronger and lighter. But the way they design ships is very boring and safe. We took their best parts and put them into ship designs that would scare them. The screens showed blueprints of new human warships that looked nothing like the old ones. These ships had backup systems for everything, tiny living spaces for the crew, and massive weapons that were designed to do as much damage as possible. They were built for people who knew that some of them would die in battle. The first group of Hunter-class destroyers will be ready tomorrow," Captain Minho continued. "Next week we'll have Vengeance-class assault carriers ready to fight." Ambassador Zhong-min looked worried. "Our spies tell us the aliens are building more fleets. They were very angry about what happened at Mars." General He-jin smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Perfect. Let them send more ships. Every time we fight them, we learn more about their technology and capture more of their equipment. They get weaker while we get stronger." "What about Operation Ghostwalker?" Admiral Jinwu asked. Colonel Ji-un stepped forward. "The first secret teams launched yesterday. Captain Hyun-bin and Lieutenant Su-young are leading missions deep into alien territory to spy on their supply bases. In 2 months, we'll know everything about how they move supplies and reinforcements." Admiral Jinwu looked around the room at all the determined faces. "Ladies and gentlemen, the aliens made one huge mistake. They thought that because we come from a dangerous planet, we must be weak creatures who barely survived. They never realized that we might be the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy, who just hadn't found anything worth hunting until now. The real war was about to begin. Commander Veltar was having a normal day moving supplies through space when something strange started happening. His alien convoy of 50 ships was traveling through what they thought was completely safe territory. Far from any fighting, then the humans found them. It didn't start with explosions or laser beams, it started with singing. "Play that weird sound again," Commander Veltar told his communications officer. His 6 arms were shaking slightly as he spoke. The bridge crew pressed buttons and the strange human voices filled the room again. Dozens of human voices singing together in perfect harmony. The melody was actually quite beautiful, but something about it made every alien on the ship feel very uncomfortable. It sounded like the howling of wolves before they attacked. "They do this before every fight," the communications officer said nervously. "Always different songs, but always singing together. Our experts can't figure out why they do it." What the aliens didn't understand was that Lieutenant Commander Sang-ho and his human squadron weren't just getting ready for battle. They were bonding like a pack of hunters. The singing made them feel connected and brave, while it made their enemies feel scared and confused. Suddenly, the communications screen turned on by itself. A human woman appeared on the screen wearing a battle suit covered in scars and scratches. Her voice was calm and friendly, like she was talking to an old friend. "Hello, Commander Veltar. I'm Colonel Ji Young from the Human Reconnaissance Corps. We should have a chat." Commander Veltar's hope rose. Maybe these creatures wanted to surrender after all. "Are you calling to give up?" The human woman laughed, but it wasn't a nice laugh. "Not exactly. I'm here to offer you a choice. Give up peacefully and we'll let you go home to tell your people what you learned about humans today." "That's impossible. We have 50 ships and you only have a few." "Actually, Commander, look at your screens again." Suddenly, the tactical display lit up like a Christmas tree. Human ships appeared everywhere around the convoy. They had been hiding in the asteroid field and using special technology to stay invisible. The aliens were completely surrounded. "But that's not the real reason you should surrender," Colonel Ji Young continued calmly. "Then what is?" Her expression became very serious. "Because we've been watching your convoy for 6 days. We know you're not really soldiers. You're merchants and colonists who got forced into this war. We know about the families on those transport ships. We know about your children." Commander Veltar felt ice in his blood. How could they know so much? The humans had been spying on them for days without being detected. "Let me tell you some stories about where humans come from," Ji Young said. For the next hour, she showed them videos and pictures from Earth's history. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years. Volcanic explosions that almost killed every living thing on the planet. Giant space rocks that crashed into Earth and wiped out entire species. But the most terrifying part was learning about human wars. The videos showed humans fighting each other with incredible violence and cruelty. Yet when outside enemies threatened them, they instantly became allies and fought together. "Your species learned to be smart to avoid fights," Colonel Ji Young explained. "We learned to be smart to win fights. Do you see the difference?" Commander Veltar's jaw parts clicked together nervously. "What do you want from us?" "Go home, tell everyone what you learned. We're not the weak creatures your leaders think we are. We're hunters who have been fighting to survive since the beginning of time. And now you've given us something to hunt." The human ships disappeared as quickly as they had appeared, leaving the convoy alone, but forever changed. 6 months after, the war began. The most important alien military leaders sat around a glowing table in their emergency meeting room. The floating maps and charts showed something that made no sense to them. They were losing badly to creatures they had thought were weak and stupid. Grand Admiral Thekvar slammed his 4 fists on the table, making loud banging sounds. His purple skin had turned dark with anger and fear. "Someone explain this to me. How are we losing to one tiny planet full of soft pink creatures?" General Voxhan, the smartest military planner in the Alien Confederation, touched the floating displays with shaking tentacles. He didn't want to give this report, but he had to tell the truth. "The humans don't fight the way we expected. They use tactics we've never seen before. They make all their different weapons work together in ways our computers can't predict." The display showed the recent battle at Kepler Station. Commander Wu Jin and his human forces had somehow beaten an alien fleet 3 times bigger than theirs. They did it by turning the space station's mining equipment into giant slingshots that threw rocks at incredible speeds. "They turned rock-digging machines into weapons that could destroy our best warships," General Voxhan continued with disbelief in his voice. "Our ships were built to fight other spaceships, not to dodge giant rocks flying faster than light." Another council member, a creature with 8 eyes, asked nervously, "What about their technology? Are they still using primitive equipment?" Dr. Zefara, the Confederation's top scientist, made new pictures appear in the air. Her voice was filled with worry. "This is the scariest part. They're not just copying our technology, they're making it better. Every weapon or piece of equipment they steal from us gets improved within weeks." The examples were frightening. Human engineers led by Dr. Minjung had taken alien plasma cannons and changed them so they could fire 10 times faster. Captain Seung-ho's squadron was using stolen alien shields that could explode and destroy enemy electronics. "How is this even possible?" Grand Admiral Thekvar demanded. "They think about building things completely differently than we do," Dr. Zefara explained. We design things to be safe and efficient. They design things to work well and adapt to new situations. They're willing to accept risks and failures that would terrify us. The tactical display changed to show human fleet movements. Under Admiral Zhou's command, human forces had stopped defending and started attacking. They were hitting alien supply lines and support bases with devastating success. They're not trying to conquer our territory, General Voxhan observed, with growing fear. They're destroying our ability to fight at all. Every supply depot they blow up, every communication station they destroy, makes our entire military weaker. How many casualties have we taken? The Grand Admiral asked quietly. The numbers were terrible. In 6 months of fighting, the Confederation had lost more ships and soldiers than in the previous 100 years of expansion. Meanwhile, the humans seemed to get stronger after every battle. There's something else, Dr. Zefara added reluctantly. Our spies think they're not even using their full strength yet. What we're fighting now is only about 15% of what they could send against us. The room became completely silent. The implications were horrifying. What should we do? Grand Admiral Thekvar asked. General Voxhan's answer came immediately. We need to try making peace. These humans aren't the primitive species we thought they were. They're the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy, and every time we fight them, they learn more about us, while we learn how hopeless this war really is. For the first time in their history, the mighty alien confederation realized they might have picked the wrong enemy. Far away from the main war, deep inside alien territory, there was a peaceful mining colony called Zerion Prime. The gentle Zenthari. Aliens who lived there had never seen a war. They spent their days digging valuable crystals from asteroids and sending them back to the alien confederation. For hundreds of years they felt completely safe because the mighty alien military protected them. That safety ended the day Captain Hyun-Soo and his team arrived. The human infiltration had taken 3 months of incredibly careful planning. Using stolen alien spaceships and fake identity papers, the human Special Forces team had traveled deep into enemy space without being detected. Their job was to spy and gather information, but what they accomplished was much more important. Give me a status report, Captain Hyun-Soo whispered into his radio as he crawled through the colony's air ducts with his team. All squads are in position, Lieutenant Sojin replied from her hiding spot, where she could watch the whole colony. We've taken control of their security cameras and communication systems. They have no idea we're here. The humans had spent weeks watching the colony, learning how the aliens lived and worked. They studied their daily routines, figured out where the important equipment was located, and discovered something very important about alien weaknesses. They have no security for threats that come from inside, observed Sergeant Jae-hyun as he planted a listening device. Their entire defense system only watches for attacks coming from outside their territory. That makes sense, Captain Hyun-Soo replied quietly. These are prey animals that became intelligent through cooperation. They can't even imagine that enemies might sneak inside their homes. The operation went perfectly. The humans disabled. The colony's communication equipment gathered detailed information about alien supply routes and planted tiny spy devices that would keep watching the colony for months. But before leaving, Captain Hyun-Soo decided to do something that would change the entire war. Attention everyone on Zerion Prime, he announced over the colony's speaker system. This is Captain Hyun-Soo of the Human Special Operations Command. Your colony has been infiltrated and is now under our surveillance. Panic exploded throughout the mining facility. Thousands of Zenthari aliens suddenly realized that their safe home had been invaded by the terrifying humans they had heard about. In war reports, we could have destroyed this entire colony, the captain continued in a calm, steady voice. We could have killed every single one of you without anyone ever knowing we were here. Instead, we're giving you a message to take back to your leaders. The main screen in the colony's central meeting area suddenly turned on, showing videos from recent human military operations. The aliens watched in horror as human soldiers fought in the vacuum of space without proper protection, battled in radiation fields that would kill most species instantly, and showed physical endurance that seemed impossible. Your Confederation declared war on a species that survived by adapting to everything our deadly planet could throw at us. Captain Hyun-soo explained. "We are not weak creatures who barely survived our environment. We are the ultimate predators that our environment created. We are apex hunters, and now you have all become our prey." The transmission ended, and the human team vanished as quietly as they had arrived. But the message was clear to every alien in the colony. Nowhere was safe anymore. The humans could go anywhere, do anything, and strike at any time. The hunters had become the hunted, and the aliens were just beginning to understand what that meant. The once mighty Galactic Confederation High Council met in their emergency bunker, but it looked nothing like the proud assembly from 18 months ago. Half of the original council members were dead, captured by humans, or simply missing. Those who remained looked tired, scared, and defeated as they stared at the glowing maps, showing how badly they were losing the war. Council Prime. Vextar sat slumped in his chair, his four eyes dull and exhausted. His shiny scales had lost their color, and his voice was weak when he spoke. "Give me the report," he said quietly. General Mordak, the newest military commander, because all the others had been killed or captured, touched the holographic controls. With shaking hands. "Human forces have built permanent military bases in 17 of our star systems. Their Admiral Tae-young has declared a liberation zone that covers 40% of what used to be our territory." The disaster was complete. What had started as a simple plan to conquer one small planet had turned into the total destruction of their galactic empire. "What about our factories and supply lines?" Council Prime Vextar asked. "Destroyed by 60%, replied the economic advisor, a small creature whose voice trembled with fear. "The humans have been incredibly good at targeting our industrial infrastructure. Commander Min Kyung's task force destroyed the Zerion manufacturing complex yesterday. They're not just beating us in battles, they're destroying our ability to build new ships and weapons." Dr. Philandra, the chief scientist who studied alien species, stepped forward with her latest analysis. "We completely misunderstood what humans are. What we thought was primitive violence is actually advanced pack-hunting behavior that has been perfected over millions of years. They don't fight just to win battles, they fight to eliminate threats completely and permanently." "What's left of our military?" the Council Prime asked. General Mordak's jaw parts clicked together nervously. "We've lost 70% of our warships, but worse than that, our remaining crews don't believe they can win anymore. They're terrified of fighting humans and expect to lose every battle." The reports kept coming, each one worse than the last. Human Special Forces teams had infiltrated the core alien worlds. Colonel Seok Jin's spies had mapped every important facility throughout Confederation space. Major Yunseo's sabotage teams had destroyed military production facilities across dozens of systems. "There's something else," General Mordak continued, reluctantly. "Our intelligence suggests the humans are preparing for one final massive attack. Admiral Jin Ho's fleet has been gathering ships in the outer rim of the galaxy. The size and composition of their force suggests they plan to end this war permanently." The chamber became completely silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Humanity was preparing to finish them off completely. "How many of our people have died?" Council Prime Vextar asked in a whisper. The casualty numbers were horrifying. In 18 months of war, the Confederation had lost more ships, soldiers, and civilians than in their previous 1,000 years of expansion. Meanwhile, human losses were surprisingly small because of their superior tactics and stolen alien technology. "We need to discuss surrender," announced Council Member Zeklara, speaking the words everyone was thinking but afraid to say. "Surrender to creatures from one tiny planet," another member protested weakly. "Surrender to the apex predators we were stupid enough to wake up," Dr. Philandra corrected sharply. "We declared war on a species that survived 10 extinction events on their death world, turned warfare into an art form, and can transform their entire civilization into a war machine in just months. We didn't attack primitives, we attacked the most successful survivors in the galaxy." Council Prime Vextar's last bit of pride finally broke. "Contact the humans. Begin surrender negotiations." The price of their arrogance was the end of everything they had built over thousands of years. The peace meeting took place on the human warship Indomitable, floating in empty space halfway between Earth and the former alien capital. President So Min sat at a long table across from the surviving alien council members. The difference between the two groups was obvious. The humans looked confident and strong, while the aliens looked beaten and desperate. Before we talk about peace terms, President So Min began, let's remember how this war started. Your council said that humanity must surrender completely or be destroyed. Do you remember saying those exact words? Council Prime Vextar's voice was so quiet it was hard to hear. We made a mistake about your species. You called us primitive prey animals, Admiral Jinwu said firmly. Your military experts laughed when they saw our biology scans. Your council members bet on how fast we would give up. Dr. Minjung stepped forward with a computer tablet. We spent 2 years studying your civilization. Do you know what we learned? You've been the top species for so long that you forgot what real competition looks like. Your technology got better because nothing hunted you. Your empire grew because no one fought back. General Haijin turned on a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. 57 different species are now under human protection. They didn't come to us as conquered slaves. They came as refugees running away from your so-called benevolent rule. Apparently, your idea of civilization included stealing resources and destroying cultures. What do you want from us? Council, Prime Vextar asked. President So Min leaned forward. A completely new arrangement. The Galactic Confederation as it was is finished. Your military is destroyed. Your factories are ruined. And the species you ruled have lost all faith in your protection. Ambassador Jin Ho presented the peace terms. We propose a galactic alliance based on voluntary membership and mutual benefit. Instead of forced subjugation, species join because they want to, contribute what they can and keep their own cultures and traditions. What would humanity's role be in this alliance? Asked the former Confederation economic advisor. We'll provide security services, Admiral Jinwu replied. It seems there's a need for someone willing to fight when talking doesn't work, someone who evolved for warfare instead of running away from it. Colonel Young Ho added, we've also created the Human Colonial Protection Service. Any species that needs protection from aggressive neighbors can ask for our help. Our response times are very good. The message was clear. Humanity had become the galaxy's top predators, not by conquering everyone, but by proving they were the best fighters when threatened. Other species now wanted human protection instead of fearing human aggression. Will you share your technology with us? Dr. Felandra asked hopefully. Some technology, yes, Dr. Minjung confirmed. Medical advances, farming improvements, defensive systems. We don't want to create new threats, but we want our allies to prosper. President So Min stood up. The age of conquest is over. The age of cooperation has begun. Any species that can live peacefully will find humanity to be valuable allies. Any species that chooses aggression will learn why Earth is called a death world. 6 months later, the Galactic Alliance included 43 species working together as equals. The former Confederation species were included as junior partners, with their military strictly limited but their economic and cultural contributions welcomed. Captain Hyunbin, now Director of Colonial Security, reviewed monthly reports with satisfaction. No aggressive actions had been reported in Alliance space for 4 months. Pirates and raiders had learned to avoid systems under human protection. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had won not through superior weapons or technology, but through superior adaptability, tactical thinking, and willingness to do whatever was necessary to protect their own.